This is the narrated screencast of my transmedia web project, so I'm just going to start by showing the actual site that I've got the main Twine story hosted on, which is Text Adventures. I kind of struggled finding somewhere to actually host it because the one that is recommended on the Twine wiki is actually not, I don't know what's wrong with it, it's just not up at the minute, so this is one that I found where you can actually host the Twine, you just upload it as an HTML file and it works fine. So if it wants to open. My internet's very slow. So I wanted to start by, first of all, embedding the YouTube video that I made to kind of go alongside the transmedia project right away, because then that kind of guarantees that whoever's reading it is definitely going to see it, rather than hiding it in a specific, like, chapter of Twine. And I'll open that and go to that in a minute. So it is based on the suffragette movement at the start of the early 20th century, but I've not given the Twine a specific linear narrative. It's non-linear, you can switch between lots of different places, you don't have to go down one specific path, and I chose it that way because I feel like that's less restrictive for the user, and it also means it's more kind of interactive for them. Twine was very interesting to use. I'd never used it before, so it was challenging to begin with, but the internet is very helpful. They have the actual Twine wiki, which has a lot of useful information on it, and also there's YouTube tutorials which are really easy to follow and find as well. So if we just click on this one, for example, these are the 4 kind of chapters or like main events that I picked to do, just because I thought they were actual historical events or places that really existed at the time. So I thought it's kind of factual but also fun at the same time. I'm going to pick this one. So the actual Twine, I think, is quite simplistic. I think because I struggled so much with actually getting it to work and kind of making sure everything was linked, that I didn't really take much time to make it look nice visually, so it's quite simplistic. It's quite simple, you just kind of click through. Some have different choices and some don't. And I've also kind of used different links to then act as kind of starting points to then link on to the other media that I've embedded. So, for example, this is a chapter where you learn about Emily Pankhurst and kind of her being imprisoned and historical information around that, and then at the end you can actually click on this link and it takes you to, if it wants to load, it takes you to her Twitter page, which I've actually made myself. Twitter is something that I actually use a lot myself. You can actually see me, that's my account over there. I've tried to make this sort of personal but also informative at the same time. That's why I've got actual quotes from Emily Pankhurst, and I've also the accounts that she's following, I've tried to make so that they're relevant to the story and what she would be interested in, also because I feel like these accounts are people who would be specifically interested in the project and so would be more likely to use it. Twitter is quite simple to use. I'm quite familiar with it, I know how to use it, but I feel like you can't really, apart from like your profile picture and your cover photo, you can't really customize it that much. But I have added a picture of Emily Pankhurst and this cover picture, which was on a royalty-free image site, because I thought that was kind of suited to her as well. And finally, I'm just going to show the YouTube video that I had at the start of the Twine story that I've also made to link into the narrative. I'm just going to play it. I don't know if you can hear it, but it does have audio. So this was created using Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects, which I have used before, so I have some knowledge of how they work, but I'm not, at the same time I'm also not an expert, so they are quite simplistic, but I feel like because I made these using my own knowledge and tutorials that I found on YouTube and online, I feel like they could be expanded on and made a lot better. I'm just going to pause it right there. The images that I've used in it are from sites within the public domain where there's no... you can use them for free. There's no royalty or anything like that. So for instance, all the pictures, the portraits in this are from the Wikipedia Commons. I think this project is I've kind of looked a lot about usage rights and commons licenses, which isn't something I'd thought about before. So whenever I've used an image in this project, I've made sure it's come from somewhere where it's within the public domain and it has a free license to use it. That's not really something I'd ever considered before. Just going to play the video. So again, although it is informative with the pictures of the suffragettes and the quotes, it does actually link back to Twine because it has this little comment at the end, and then the link to the Twine is in the video description. Oh, no. So overall, I think I'm quite pleased with the project. I feel like it's achieved what I set out to achieve. I feel like I've been challenged creatively. I've done things that I haven't done before, things like YouTube and Twitter that I have used before. I've thought about using them in a different way and thought about using them creatively. But at the same time, I feel like now that I've kind of got the basic skills from using things like Twine and YouTube and Premiere Pro, I can then build on that to continue working on this project, because I have really enjoyed it, and I feel like now I know the basic things, I can build on it and make it even better.